watch for this week?
Yeah, so baseball's getting hot and heavy. I'm excited. There's a lot of things that are actually going on already in the first week. There's already been like 3 or 4 trades. Rougned Odor going to the Yankees from the Rangers happened today. Also, Orlando Arcia from the Brewers over to the Braves, which is a good pickup for them as well. But these are the stories that this week you want to really keep an eye on. The first one would be the Nats and how they deal with coming back off of COVID. They did put 10 players on the injured list ahead of today's game. And so that could really hamper them down. They did go out and take a win and today on a Juan Soto walk-off single. So they can, and they do have the depth to get through it, but it's just going to be interesting to see how they handle it, and whether or not they can bounce back from it.
Yeah, and they do have back-to-back double hitters on Wednesday too, so I'll be kind of serious to see how they can actually handle that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're built to be able to sustain what they just went through, but it's just going to be something you want to keep an eye on this week. The next thing here is how the Padres are going to deal with the Tatis injury. This is a big one, man, because he's had this shoulder injury for a while now. He's been playing with shoulder discomfort. He's separated his shoulder a couple times now. I just feel like they need to worry about Fernando Tatis going forward as opposed to Fernando Tatis this season. And so I think that the San Diego Padres need to really explore the option of Fernando Tatis having surgery and sitting the season out, even though that would extremely hamper their chances at winning the West, really hamper their chances at going to the World Series like I had picked them to do.
Mm-hmm.
They really need to do that, though. What's that?
If Tatis does get surgery and he is out for the season, let's say, do you think there's any chance that they still could win the West? Do you think that Machado maybe and Darvish are able to step up and bring them the rest of the way? Or do you think that the loss of Tatis will be too great?
It's a huge hit. Is it going to be too great? I don't know 100%. They might have to go out and make a trade. They might have to go out and get somebody on a flyer. Maybe go out and get Chris Bryant from the Cubs even and move Machado over to shortstop. Just on a flyer for this season, knowing you're not going to have him probably for next season because there's no way the Padres are going to afford him. So, that might be something that they have to do if they're still contenders come the trade deadline.
Yeah, and then just in hindsight here, yes, the hindsight is he will be out for the season, and it is definitely going to hamper your World Series pick. But didn't he just sign like a 10-year deal or a 12-year deal? He needs to think. Yeah. He needs to think long term. Get this fixed now, so year 3, 4, and 5, he isn't out for 18 months and miss a season and a half versus just one.
Well, he's still super young too, so he's still. It's much easier to recover from a surgery and an injury like this now. At what is he? Probably 24, 25, right?
26, I believe.
26. It's much easier. It is much easier, I'm sure, to recover from an injury like this and do your physical therapy at 26 rather than 30. You know what I mean? So now, if you're going to get it done, you got to get it done now, right at the beginning of your contract. He'll have plenty of time left, and he's still super young.
Number 3.
Yeah, and that's the thing. With Fernando Tatis, he's one of those guys who he's a spark plug of that lineup. He's kind of really the leader in that clubhouse. I know they got Manny Machado there, but I just feel like Tatis is the face of the franchise. Tatis is the guy they gave the big contract to. Tatis is the one that actually they gave Machado a pretty big contract too. So I just feel like it's going to hurt them. They're probably going to have to make a move if they're still relevant by the All-Star break. The next thing that I have on here, the third thing, is going to be, can the Tigers continue to win games? The Tigers went out and won another one today in extra innings against the Twins. It was a game where the Tigers were, seemingly probably going to lose it, and then they found a way to get back into it and win the game in extra innings. So, it's still early in the season. I still think the Tigers are going to lose a lot of ball games, But early on in the season, I mean, they're 2-3 now, and or 3-2 maybe.
I think they got 3 wins.
It's escaping me
Yeah.
whether they are. Looking it up right now, actually. So they are. They're 3-2. So they're look. They have 3 more wins than I expected to have them at this point. So, they're playing better than I thought that they would, and it's going to be interesting to see if they can continue this trend.
So let me ask you this question, Combs, because I believe you had them like 110 losses, right? Like you have them over 100 losses this year, right?
Yeah, and I'm at 110.
Yeah,
52 wins.
Yeah, so like at what point do you reevaluate the Detroit Tigers? Like how long do they got to be continue playing like the way they are now, like a 500 team before you say like
end of May.
So
yeah,
it's kind of funny how. Go ahead.
Once you come to the end of May, you usually start seeing the teams that are hot, and you can really tell who the contenders and who the pretenders are.
Right.
And what teams are just playing well. One, maybe they had a late schedule, or 2, maybe other teams in their division are injured. Like, whatever the case it being, usually by the end of May, you can have a good feel for what you're going to see. There's always those teams that come out of the gate and nobody expects them to be good. That could be a thing that you're seeing with the Tigers right now, too. Everybody's just expecting to roll the Tigers. And so maybe they're just walking in there expecting the Tigers to lay down. And look, they're still a team full of professional baseball players.
Right.
They've still got Miguel Cabrera. So they're not going to just lay down and die for you. You're going to have to go in there and beat them. And so far, the Tigers have done a good job of taking care of business.
I just think it's funny how they've progressed. They had Verlander at one time, and he was arguably a top pitcher in the league, tearing it up at the mound. Then you've got Miguel Cabrera, who is winning the Triple Crown, and it seems like it just all kind of evaporated all at once, and they all just kind of Now I know they lost Verlander, of course, and he went elsewhere, and that was a huge loss for them. But it's just funny how like they went from a top team to just like nobody overnight. It seemed like
Father Time is undefeated.
Yeah,
True
absolutely, 100%.
True that.
So the fourth thing here to watch out for this week with baseball is, can the Mets come out of the gate hot versus Philadelphia? So far, they lost last night, and they're playing again right now, I believe. Can they get hot? I know they had an extended wait for opening day because of what was going on with the Nationals, and so they lost that first series and weren't able to get on the field, and they get on the field last night versus Philly, and Philadelphia finds a way to come back and beat them by scoring 5 in the 8th. So it's going to be interesting to see how they rebound from that, whether or not they can, come out of this week, maybe in the top 3 of the division, hopefully for them. We'll see what they can do. That's going to be a focal point for the next couple of weeks, to be honest with you.
So do you think the Mets come out hot, Holmes, and win the series?
They've got the ability to. They probably should have won last night. They were up 2-0 heading in the 8th inning, and the Phillies just exploded for 5 runs.
Right.
I think that the Mets definitely have the team to do it. I just think that they were put in a tough predicament starting out the season.
That's a big
word.
And
I mean, there's nothing saying that they wouldn't have lost all 3 games. I mean, we've seen it with the Braves. The Braves still have not won a game. They lost again today.
Right.
So the Braves still have not won a game yet this season, and they're one of the best teams in baseball.
So I can tell you, every time you are going to bring up the Mets throughout the man hour through the next 6 months, I am hoping they take that L, because after you practice your championship celebration during spring training, I want you to take the L every time. I want you to have a 111 loss season just so the Tigers aren't the worst team in Major League Baseball. I have become a Mets hater. That's just the way it is. Go Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get your wish, though. I mean, look, the Mets are really, really good.
Yeah, and they're going to be really good at stubbing their toes. Let's just be honest.
If they get Chris Bryant, they're going to be even better.
Yeah. And the last thing that we're going to watch out for this week, and I just kind of hinted towards it, what is wrong with the Braves? The Braves still have not won a game. The Braves are 0-4 to start the season. Like, what do the Braves need to do to get out of that loss column, get that first win under the belt, and maybe go on a little bit of a run?
because the
they're in a
All-Star game
really
was
tough
full.
division. So starting out in this division and starting out 0-4 is very, very tough. You do not want to go into this division, if you start, because right now the Phillies are 4-0.
Right.
So you're 0-4 right now. You're 4 games back already, and you're only a week in. If you fall to 7 or 8 or 9 games back in this division, it's going to be virtually impossible to come back in this division because you're going to have 4 really good teams that you have to leapfrog.
Yeah, and then just looking at their Braves schedule moving forward, they do play the Nationals twice on Wednesday afternoon, and then they're off, and then they play Friday, Saturday, Sunday series with the Phillies. If they don't get a win from the Nationals tomorrow on this Wednesday afternoon, I don't see their next win coming till possibly tell the Cubs when they travel to Chicago, and they might steal one on a Saturday afternoon game. Like that's I mean, they could easily start 0-9, 0-10 Combs.
Yeah, and that would be God. Look, I know it's still early in the season, but to start out 0-10 in this division is a death sentence.
Yeah,
it just is. You're not coming back from that. As Chris Bryant just hit a ball down the line, Yelich somersaulted over the ball and fell on his butt. Take that, Torrey Anderson.
Yeah,
even though we're still losing 4-0.
But also they do also have their pitching lineup secured for the next week. April 12th game when they are at home playing the Miami Marlins here. Chris Fried is pitching, so Fried is their ace. Like we talked about him a little bit in January or February. I can't remember for sure when we talked about him, but. If they don't get a win there, what should the Braves start to do? Do they need to make a trade? Do they need to shake something up? Like what has to happen to wake this team up?
Yeah, man, if you come out of the gate 0-9, 0 whatever, and you're already finding yourself 8 or 9 games back in this division, yeah,
that's a tough hole to dig out of, man.
Yeah, I'm not sure that there's anything you can do. I think you just have to stand pat and hope you can make a run and hope some of the other teams have a couple of losing streaks while you're making your runs. And it's going to be tough because I don't see a whole lot of losing streaks other than the Marlins. I don't see a whole lot of losing streaks from any of these teams in the division. I feel like, 3 or 4 at the most, and then they're going to find a way to win 1 or 2 or 3 in a row after that. Like, these teams in this division, the Mets are too good, the Nationals are too good, the Phillies are too good, and I feel like the Braves are too. I feel like the Braves are probably going to have a big day tomorrow. They are too good to have a sustained losing streak, and so, we'll see how it goes. Man, it's really tough for the Braves right now. You're already 4 games back, and you're only 4 games into your season.
Is it too early to look forward to May and circle a 2-week part of their schedule here? Like, if they are not, clicking on all cylinders, that they could possibly be out of the world or be out of the playoff hunt, not even the World Series hunt, but looking forward at their schedule here. May 4th, they travel to Washington, D.C. to take on the Nationals. They play a 3-game series there. They play a 3-game series versus the Phillies at home, and then they play the Blue Jays and then the Milwaukee Brewers, and then they finish a 3-game series with the Mets. Those 2 weeks there, Combs, if they are a struggling team, this stretch through early May could make them a horrible team.
Yeah, I mean, it's this stretch right here, too. I mean, this stretch right here where you've got these 2 games tomorrow versus Washington, then another 3-game set with Philly. You need retribution on the Phillies. You need to take 2 out of 3 in that series to get back into this division race. And then you better beat up on Miami in that 4-game series against Miami. And then when you play the Cubs, it's going to be tough because it's at Wrigley. The Cubs aren't a horrible team, so it's not going to be just a cakewalk. But, you are going to run into where you have to take 2 out of 3 in that series. And then you've got the Yankees and then the Diamondbacks and then the Cubs again for 4. And then you play Toronto, Washington, Philly, Toronto. Like, you have got a brutal first month of the season. So they've got to figure it out, between now and probably the end of May. If they are under 500 by the end of May, I mean, chalk them up. They're not.
Man Hour Nation, thank you for checking out that clip. If you're interested in watching the full show, the link is in the description. Click on it, hit that like button, share it with a couple friends, And as always, Man Hour Nation, rise up.